Ja. You already know what it is, man. This is T. Paris, aka and Marvin Gaye. This rap shit. Most original, most creative, most in tune to times. I'm sort of like your inspiration. And this is Peace Perspective. Let's not waste no time. Let's get right into it. This week I wanted to talk about how public school is just like a pipeline to the prison system. I know a lot of people, have heard that theory before, but today we're going to sit down, we're going to break it down, I think it's no secret, education right here in New York City, public schools is not really the greatest, and if we could just look at it a little bit, a lot of us spend a great deal of time in these public schools, but the stuff that we learning from schools and who we learning it from, sometimes has a great effect on us as people, especially people of color. The vast majority of these teachers are women, sometimes they can't really relate to young men, and a lot of times our young men are looked at or known to be the most active in the classrooms. A lot of these teachers don't grow up in our community, and so they don't really understand the way that we've been raised, the way that we've been taught certain things about ourselves. And so when they're teaching these lessons, one of the most important things is to try to find a correlation. We need to be able to relate to some of the people that we're learning about if we're going to get the most out of the situation. And so, it's my opinion that, when these kids go to school and they're being taught by these teachers, a lot of times they just feel like they don't relate to the teachers. And then the message that's supposed to be being conveyed is not really, is not gotten across, to the children in a professional manner. A lot of times these teachers don't have the affection or the maternal instinct as well to take the time and deal with the kid on an individual level. Classrooms being overcrowded, sometimes 30, a little more than 35 students in a classroom at a time, one teacher, sometimes a para, that's a lot. These kids are at home in dysfunctional families. A lot of times parents are addicted to drugs or single parent homes. Dialogue or conversation at home is very minimal. The vocabulary they're using, is very minimal. And then when you go to school, these teachers are giving you tests and, lessons on things that you're not familiar with, language that you're not using in the household on a regular basis. And that's not to say that our parents, can't, encourage us to read more, look in the dictionary and things of that nature. But when you really look at the course of a day, you spend just about as much time with your teachers as you spend with your parents. If you're getting the right amount of sleep, which is about 8 hours, that only leaves 16 more hours to the day. You spend about 7 of that in school. If you're doing after-school programs and after-school activities and things of that nature, you probably end up spending most of the time with the teachers. And therefore, they are also, responsible for making sure that you get the information that you're learning and that you're also able to give it back to them in a way where they understand that you understand what's going on. Now, when we're in school and we're learning a lot of the stuff, a lot of the information, as I said, we don't always relate to. They're teaching us what they think that we should know going into, white man's world, America, society. And this is in order for us to get a job. So a lot of times, we're placed in a box where they're going to teach us the way that they want us to behave and teach us the information that they want us to know in order to get the job that they deem, good enough for us. There was a point in time when people, came to the city and everything was about manual labor. It's no secret that people of color, are some of the most creative beings in the world, and we created a lot of things, bridges, traffic lights, lamps, oils, things of that nature. And I think with that being said, we will come to school and we will learn these trades, and then you'll be able to go into the workforce and get a job, working on some of these trades. Well, with the digital world taking over now, a lot of these trades are no longer even being taught inside these schools, and so everything is just based upon a grade level or a test, academic level or test score. And again, like I said, a lot of these kids are growing in households where they aren't being taught these things. They don't assimilate to be, doctors, teachers, lawyers, judges, principals, president, because we don't see these things. We see pimps, hustlers, drug dealers, violence and things of that nature, basketball players, athletes, entertainers. And these are things that we assimilate to be because in our minds, we can't get over the hump. We're not doing what we got to do to get them A's and them B's. And it's not our fault because a lot of times we're not being taught properly. Again, like I said, when you see a child in school and they're misbehaving, instead of a teacher maybe sitting them down and trying to understand what's going on and the whole dynamics of, maybe something going on at home, something in the classroom, maybe there's a disconnect between the teacher and the child, but more times than not, they'll send this child to detention and say that this child is unable to be taught, unable to be learned, put them in special education, prescribe medications and things of that nature. This does not afford this child the same opportunity to go into the world and, secure a place in America where they can take care of their family, because now they're looked at or, deemed as special ed or somebody who doesn't have it all. A lot of these kids, usually tend to drop out before they even finish high school because for a long time the track record is, you're not good enough. You don't have what it takes, to excel in this form of education. Now, if we could just look at private school for a minute, people pay money, the classes are a lot smaller. Sometimes the subjects are a little bit more catered, to the liking of the students. I went to prep school and I remember, being asked, what would I like to learn in terms of, books and things of that nature, what would I like to read. I didn't remember these same questions being asked to me while I was in public school. And again, like I said, 7 to 10 students as compared to 25, 30, 35 sometimes. So I think that took away. Also, I think something else that plays, a huge part is that when these kids are in school and they're having these difficulties learning, a lot of times violence seems to be one of the ways that they express themselves. And instead of trying to find corrective behavior, they sentence these kids to detention centers, or they ask for them to be removed from the school and sent to zone schools, or behavioral schools and things. That all this does is it fluctuates the kids' self-esteem and makes them feel like they don't have what it takes to excel. As I said, it's like a gateway to the prison system. When you fall out of school, you drop out of school without education, you don't see a way to make financial money, take care of your family. A lot of people fall into desperate times and they go into the streets and they do whatever they know best. So they do what they see other people doing, and they look for some way to justify ends to a means. And that potentially puts a lot of our young black men in position to be trapped off in the prison system, And I think that what it does is it says, they open up a school for us to go to. I want you to learn about what I want you to learn about. I want you to act the way I want you to act. And this will prepare you to work in our society. You drop out of school, you're rebellious, you don't agree with some of the things that they're saying, and you won't fit into this box that they're trying to create. It's all about population control. And when you don't fit in this box, then you're looked at as an outcast or a criminal, or just somebody who's just very hard to, get along with and deal with, a menace to society of some sort. And what better way than to get these people away from society than to charge them with a crime and lock them up, make them feel like they are not, adequate enough to live within the society because they don't follow the rules that are quote-unquote deemed American rules. I think a lot of this has to do with the education system, because they're not teaching these young men and young women how to go out there and explore the world and find ways to take care of themselves outside of the American plan. There are a lot of people, who've gone to school and made something of themselves, and a lot of people who haven't gone to school and made things of themselves. But I think what's important in both those situations is direction, guidance, and discipline. I don't think that you can point out too many people who didn't go to school, who didn't have guidance, didn't have discipline, and just made something out of nothing. A lot of people would like to say that, but somewhere along the line there was some type of corrective behavior that took place, And I mention that just to say, if you are a child or you have a child out there that's not excelling in education, it does not mean that it's the end of the world for you, and it does not mean that they're going to ship you off to jail. What it does mean is we have to crack down and start to find a way to educate our youth with, topics and theories and, philosophies and books and, just cultural information that they can relate to, and they also find to be impressive information. It's kind of hard to, to shove fruits and vegetables down a child's mouth when you know that they don't like these fruits and vegetables, And all this does is, it starts a trend, and when the kids start to feel like they don't really have a say-so, I think that education should be a two-way street. We should be learning about some of the things that we want to learn about, but we should also be filling our brain with things that other people might find very necessary in order for us to succeed in this world. I want to point out one more thing. If education, does not seem like the way that you want to go, going to school, I would, lend this advice. There's a library out there, not in every street corner, but every community should have a library. And if you can just, take some time and just sit down in the library and just find, some of the things that interest you, things that keep you intrigued up here, and just try to read upon those and, study, jot down information that you might feel uncomfortable about or you're not aware of, and just study on it some more. I think that this might lead you in a direction where you might find your own niche. I did go to school, but I'll be the first to say I didn't always enjoy it, but I knew that it would set me apart from so many other people later on in life. It's unfortunate that this whole school thing, it seemed like it's a game. The more education you get, the better you should be. And I got a college degree. I got 2 college degrees and have the hardest time finding jobs sometimes. And then we have some people who haven't been afforded these same opportunities, and they just give up on life. So I just say that to say important. Education is very important. Knowledge is the key. And sometimes, you have to sit back and ask yourself, what is it that I want to learn? What is it that I'm interested in? And then you go out there and seek that knowledge. Don't leave it in the hands of your teachers, your public school teachers, because many times they just going to work to get a check. They going to do whatever they got to do to take care of their family at home. A lot of young men and women are caught up in these classrooms, and it's unfortunate, but they're not going to get the most out of the situation because they got somebody who just coming to school just to get a check. If you really truly care about these kids, take some time. Teach them the truth. Stop teaching this information that's in these textbooks that in your heart is not right. I know you got a curriculum, but we also got principles and we got morals. This is T. Paris, man. Peace, perspective. Social channel.